What's up, guys? Here we go. We've heard connect here, coming at you August 28th, 2022, live stream coming at you for this live stream to talk about the Tales of the Walking Dead, season 1 through episodes 1 and 4, or 1 through 4. And yeah, we're going to talk about a bunch of things. Sorry, my thing looks kind of different. I just upgraded my OBS program and it just looks a little different from what it is, so getting used to that. But we'll wait for everybody to join. It takes some time to be here, but thank you guys for taking the time. If you're watching it on the replay or whenever you're watching it, we truly appreciate all the love and support, and just, makes the channel doable and the videos to happen, So, Tales of the Walking Dead, we'll talk about all 4 episodes a little bit there too, So if you haven't seen episodes 3 and 4, because AMC has only played episodes 1 and 2 so far on AMC. Tonight will be episode 3, the alpha episode. Episode 4 was on AMC Plus. That's the Dr. Everett and Amy episode, which was okay. It was decent. Overall, the episodes have been okay, in my opinion. But we'll get into that. Some people are loving it. Some people are hating it. And that's just the way the world goes, And it's kind of crazy to think how far The Walking Dead has come. The mountaintop, the peak, the apex of the Walking Dead show is, so many years ago for a lot of people. Some people give up on the show, or they say they do at least. It's a lot of people saying a lot of different stuff online. But, it's what we do. We talk about The Walking Dead. We're going to talk about a couple of different things, movies and stuff that I've seen. And if you have any questions, let me know in the top chat. Super chats are always welcome. So we'll see how it works for you. Sure. So, yeah, Wilson says notifications don't seem to work, Bri. Yeah, I don't know what else is new with YouTube. I mean, it's definitely not a great program. I don't know if it's really been a great program for a long time now. But, it's just one of those things where I'm not going to start it and redo it again. So hopefully people will know that from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock East Coast time, we will be talking about the Walking Dead universe as a whole. So for those that are watching, we appreciate you guys, like I said about a couple minutes ago when we started. So remember, guys, with hard work, dedication, all that stuff, working hard really pays off. And I know that I talked about it last week that I had a job interview on Friday. And I got the job, and I will start in a couple weeks because I have to finish with my current patients for my current employer. And it's kind of this weird scenario with my current job and the new job and stuff. So I'll start there in the middle of September. And I'm excited and, all that stuff with starting a new job too. So Dragon says, I got a new job too. Well, congratulations, Dragon. And one of those things that's always weird when you start a new job and you're like, you work your way up with an employer and try to work your way up in the job or the profession or whatever it is. And you're like, man, I got to start over brand new with it again. But it's all right. It's going to be seamless because the last week of patients that I have with my current employer is going to roll right into training of the next week. So it should be pretty good as well. So hopefully you guys are doing well, safe and sound, and life's not too crazy for you. Hopefully gas prices are coming down. And, anyone that, likes the zombie apocalypse story and genre and fiction, it's fiction. It would be great if you think about it, if there was no need for money or a job or anything like that, if in a zombie apocalypse. But a zombie apocalypse would be terrible. You'd have to worry about your safety, security, food, electricity, power, energy, your loved ones. It's just crazy. So, I would love the idea of not having to work and not having to do things, but you got to worry about other things as well. And I've always equated it to if you've lost power from hurricanes or just power outage or whatever, it stinks. It's crazy to think about it that way, and that's basically what a zombie apocalypse would be like short term without the zombies, of course, there too. So, Sonia Welch, hey, Sonia, how are you? But, yeah, so Ringworm says, I still haven't applied for a new job. I should do that. Well, if you're in the market for a new job, definitely start, So I found out August 10th that my job was going to be letting me go, kind of. We were going to finish our current patients, and then when that was it, that was it. We weren't going to take any new patients is what they said, because they were getting rid of the skilled care, which is nursing, PT, OT, and speech. So I was like, okay, so I started the process, and it kind of went pretty quick. That's kind of how it would go, right? If I took my time and I waited for me to finish this and then I would try to look for a job, I probably wouldn't get a job as quickly as I did. But since I was proactive, I don't know, whatever law that is or something there too. So it's just, but ultimately, guys, the Walking Dead universe is going somewhat strong. October 2nd is 5 weeks away from when The Walking Dead returns. and it'll be here before you know it. Tales of the Walking Dead. If you've seen episodes 3 and 4, you've watched really halfway, so many percentage of the episodes because there's only 6 episodes. Next week's, or AMC Plus's next week, episode 5 is Jesse T. Usher's A-Train from The Boys. That is going to be his episode 5. So we'll have to see how it goes, and it's a lot of things. So again, spoiler warning for Tales of the Walking Dead. If you haven't seen it, all this stuff yet, I don't want to ruin anything for you, because I don't want to ruin anything for anybody that's watching it. But it's just something. So Victor Ruiz says, "Are we worried about our safety and everything else without the zombies?" I don't think so. I hope not. Right? That'd be kind of crazy if people didn't come together to help. It's just kind of what it would feel like to not have power and not be able to go to the store, because when we had hurricanes come through Tampa Bay, you lose power for 3-4 days, and it's kind of weird to not be able to turn the TV on or have the internet or whatever, and then go to the store. And a lot of the stores don't have power, so only select things do, even though Publix was usually pretty good, the supermarket here. But that's what I kind of meant by that too. So Tales of the Walking Dead is the only episode or only show that's on TV. The Isle of the Dead has a name change, so that happened this week. It's called The Walking Dead, Dead City is what they're going with. Some people said that Isle of the Dead had trademark and it was already used by something else, so that's why they changed it. Was Isle of the Dead the working title? But they wouldn't have had material of marketing and just concept art or whatever it is with the title. You could have called it the Maggie and Negan Show, untitled. You didn't have to have a title, which was like Isle of the Dead, right? Usually they have a working title or a production title and then a different thing. They call it something else so people don't know what it actually is. The Walking Dead and AMC had, art and stuff with titles on it. Maggie and Negan, Isle of the Dead. And I guess you could call it The Walking Dead, Isle of the Dead, and have it that way. I personally would like to have seen Isle of the Walking Dead, which sounds better than Dead City. It just doesn't really fit, in my opinion. But we'll see. The name doesn't really matter. It's not really that big a deal. What do you guys like? I asked them the question in my one video and also in the poll question. Do you like Isle of the Dead or Dead City better? Which one do you actually like? I personally like Isle of the Dead. It just sounds better. Dead City just doesn't really fit, in my opinion. It doesn't really matter, like I said, about the title. It does, but it doesn't, because if they're changing things now, are they changing minor things? Are they changing bigger things? Are they rewriting scripts? Are they rewriting this? Probably not. It's probably just a title change, which doesn't really change how it would be. It's just something that just like, okay, do they not have their ducks in a row? Are they not prepared? Did they jump the gun while telling us stuff when they didn't even have the actual title done? Or did they have the title and the Q&A or the quality assurance or the whoever is in charge of the titles and the names didn't actually say it was okay to call it that? I don't know. But so Dead City is what we're going to get. I would assume that's going to be the first show that we're going to get for the spinoffs. I don't know when Fear the Walking Dead is actually going to be on in 2023. I doubt it's going to be 2022 because they're filming it now. So I don't know how they could film it now and then have it in production because a lot of people, hopefully you guys understand that when the people film stuff, that's just the very start of the process. Or the scripts, the writing, the editing. It's just so much stuff is in there too. You have to add the sound and the music and the filters and the VFX and the practical effects are done with filming, but then you have to clean stuff up or digitally do it, and stuff takes time. It takes a lot of time. So I think that won't be there till next. I would assume we're going to get February, October stuff. In between, you mix it in there with, if February is Fear the Walking Dead, then we will have the Maggie and Negan show midway through that. I'm guessing. I don't know what their plan is. There's been no that. Maybe we find out at New York Comic Con, which will be coming up in a couple months. But we'll see how it comes down. October 2nd is when it returns for The Walking Dead, which is good because it's going to fill in the rest of the year, which is going to be 8 weeks. And a lot of people are still asking about the final episode. If it's going to be, is going to be aired early on AMC Plus. I don't think so is the word. It doesn't really matter. We watch it when we watch it. And I don't know if the final episode is going to be that great, because majority of shows that end the series finales aren't usually good, even though they've had enough time and preparation and writing and script stuff that they can actually write it, because sometimes stuff ends abruptly, shows stuff end without proper budgeting and script writing and everything there too. So it's just, I don't know. Do you guys think that I guess another question for you guys, do you think that the series finale of the Walking Dead main show is going to be worthwhile and be done right, rewarding, all that stuff, or is it just basically, is it going to be good, is my question. So the big things I like to ask are, do you still watch The Walking Dead? Do you still love The Walking Dead as much as you did? I think so. I still like it, not nearly as much as I did in seasons 4, 5, and 6, and even going into season 7 and season 8. There was just a lot going on for it. It was building up in there too. It just feels like it's not the same show. It's kind of watered down. It's not so. It just feels like a different version of the show as well. When Rick went away, and then the Carl stuff, the Carl stuff, and then Rick went away, and then Michonne, and then Maggie. It's just so much stuff got in the way, and that's what happens with shows. Now let's talk about Tales of the Walking Dead, right? I kind of rambled on a little bit for 10 minutes, but so Tales of the Walking Dead is it's okay. I would, I want to like the show. I want to accept it. I want to appreciate it, and overall, the casting is good. The best part of the series so far is the casting. The acting is done very well, in my opinion. The characters are okay. The stories are lackluster. When you have to abbreviate stuff, and an episode is 40 minutes, 41, 42 minutes, that's not nearly as long as what it is for The Walking Dead. And if we're used to The Walking Dead, everything else compares to that too, right? Like, you're going to compare all the other spinoffs and all the other things to the main show. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? That's the old adage. And it really is. If something's working fine, continue it, keep doing it, and just keep rolling with it. But these spinoffs, to me, really haven't worked for multiple reasons, and I talk about that in another video. But Tales of the Walking Dead, so the first episode is Evie and Joe, which it's okay. The Blair and Gina episode is just like, what's going on with that? The Alpha episode really felt like the most like The Walking Dead there is, as it should, because D, Alpha, just makes the connection. Episode 4 is Dr. Everett and Amy's episode. And I love Anthony Edwards, and I like Terry Crews, and I like Samantha Morton, and I like a bunch of the actors. It's just the writing is kind of like a little much. It's a little to be desired, right? So I talked about the first 2 episodes last live stream, so I won't really talk too much about the Evie and Joe stuff, even though I do think that was a decent episode. The second episode with Blair and Gina, time loop stuff. Did they die? Did they not? Are they walkers? Are they in purgatory? Are they here? Are they there? I don't know what to make of it. I'm not going to think too much of it because none of this stuff matters. Like, none of these episodes matter whatsoever. There's no major connection with the CRM. I don't know if we're ever going to see these characters again, even though I know Terry Crews and a couple of the actors want to continue the story, right? Which is good. So give them more story. Give them more to it. Would season 2, is it going to be the continuation of these characters? Is it going to be something totally different? Is it going to be rewrites? Is it going to be something that we hoped for in the first time? I know Channing Powell, the showrunner of this series, she talked about doing a musical episode. That's all you have to say about Tales of the Walking Dead. A musical episode was considered, and she wanted to do it, but the logistics and stuff fell through, is what I've read, what I heard allegedly. So because I think Gimple and people talked about having a musical episode way back when. He talked about doing movies and talked about doing this and talked about doing that, a bunch of stuff. Some of it's come true, some of it fell apart, some of it's not there too. So I think it would be the dumbest thing ever for the franchise, and it would do nothing but hurt the franchise if you had a musical episode, right? And that's crazy to think that you would have a choice and be like, hey guys, you know what we're going to do? You ever seen West Side Story? We're going to do West Side Stories with walkers. That's going to be awesome. People are going to love it. Like, no. It just would be so dumb, right? So after if we didn't have the Blair and Gina episode, I'd be like, nah, they're probably not going to do something like that. But we had that episode. Crazy, right? So, and it's just weird to think like people that are making the decisions for this universe still are thinking some of these are good ideas, right? Like, when did we lose the aspect of the feel of it's fictional, but a general feel like this could happen in a zombie apocalypse, and just the general belief that this happens and you have the continuity of things and stuff adds up, and it's just like, it would just be crazy, right? And then, this change and that change, and then showrunner after showrunner, and then this. The show was great up to season 6, in my opinion. And even though we had 3 different showrunners up to that point, it still worked. They still made it work, and it still did well. But season 7 and season 8 and stuff, it was just like too much stuff that happened there, and then this, and then just too much stuff was falling apart. And then I don't know if it's budget or money or writing. So I don't know. But so Tales of the Walking Dead, yeah, paycheck, it's all about the money now. And it kind of is, right? So if you want to, I don't know, like, I don't really know how much effort it takes to make a show. I do, but I don't from the outside looking in. I've never been a part of it. I've never seen it, but there's a lot of stuff going on, lighting, casting, crew, production, sound, practical effects, VFX, just the Walker stuff, makeup, just there's a million different departments that are involved with it. And those go by a budget and a time and an effort and an energy, and we want to have this and we want to have that too. But there's too many hands in the cookie jar a lot of the times, and people think it's a good idea, not it's a good idea. And, kind of when Gimple became like the COO, the Chief Operating Officer for all things Walking Dead, all this stuff has been happening. It's kind of been crazy, right? And it might have even been before that when they decided to do Fear the Walking Dead as a spinoff to have nothing to do with The Walking Dead, which was a major ball drop in 3 seasons. And then next season 4, they're like, we got to bring people over because this isn't working. If it was such a great idea, they just would have kept it and never had any connection with it, even though The Walking Dead is in the name of it. I would assume this isn't the first group and franchise and universe to just slap your name on something and be like, yeah, see, it's Walking Dead. When you kind of had like certain quality you're expecting, the fans are expecting certain things like that too, right? And it just doesn't live up to it and whatever. And, the main show is ending and it feels like it's ending, and it just feels like so many things. I don't know. So Tales of the Walking Dead season 1, episode 4. Spoiler warning if you guys haven't seen it yet. I don't want to ruin anything for you. Let's get into that for a little bit, because I want to give it the amount of time for questions and stuff on there too, and talk about my book series a little bit, give you guys an update of that. But before that, my wife and I, we watched the movie Nope, and that's the Jordan Peele movie. And it's a different movie than I expected, and it's different. It's okay. It's a decent movie. I recommend renting it and watching it. But Nope is a good movie to watch. Steven Yeun, who played Glenn on The Walking Dead, is in it, and a couple of different people that are in the other movies that Jordan Peele has done. And it's a different kind of movie, and I don't want to give too much away because it's something that I want you guys to go watch. It's it's funny how people are like, Danielle says Nope was awesome. Rob K, Nope was okay. So if you don't give it away, but if you saw Nope, guy, what did you think? What did you guys think of it? Is it good? I think it's worth watching. I think you should definitely check it out. And it's a different kind of movie, which I enjoy because I don't want to see the same old stuff. It's just So definitely check it out. I definitely recommend it on there too. And then also when Bullet Train comes out to rent or on streaming, definitely watch that too. And I think this Friday, September 2nd, is Elvis is coming on HBO Max. And if you're an Elvis fan, you should definitely check it out too. So, yeah, Cammy says, it's not at all what you think. I don't know. When you watch the trailer of the movie Nope, and you see like Steven Yeun like a cowboy hat and a this and a that, and people are walking and riding a horse, and it's just weird. Like it definitely is. It does. The trailer does not just paint this picture that you getting what you're expecting. I don't know. It's something that I enjoyed, but it's definitely something where I didn't know like what to expect. And the movie's kind of all over the place a little bit for some of it, but then it kind of comes together, and it's a different movie. I liked Jordan Peele's other movies. I think Get Out is his best movie. But, yeah. So let's talk about Season 1, Episode 4 of Tales of the Walking Dead. The Dr. Charles Everett, who's a scientist, doctor, and Amy, who's a survivor that comes across Dr. Everett. So I guess this is the movie, or this is the episode that's in the future, because I don't know of a timeline. It doesn't say like 2035 or 20 this or whatever. Or if it did, I missed it. But it is set in some time, because Dr. Everett, who is played by Anthony Edwards, he is all about thinking as people, we're Homo sapiens is the scientific name, or the genus species name of our organism. He calls them Homos mortis, or Homo mortis, that is, the Walking Dead. And then Amy, who comes across, calls them chompers. So you had another name that's not called zombies. So we have like the scientific approach. It feels like if Milton was alive, or Dr. Edwin Jenner was alive still, they would kind of be like this guy. And the story is interesting, but it's also, again, it's only like 40 minutes. So it feels like a rushed episode. A lot of stuff has to happen in the episode again, which is kind of the fault of the series. Like, you're only having 6 episodes, so you're only giving the bare bones minimum of the time for this character development, and you have to rush it, which it feels that way. And it kind of stinks, because we're not used to that in the Walking Dead universe. Like, World Beyond had 2 full seasons to watch and see where these characters go. Fear the Walking Dead is coming on 8 seasons. Walking Dead has 11 seasons. Tales of the Walking Dead's like, you get 40 minutes. Have fun with that. And it just feels like it could have been something kind of cool. They could have answered a little bit more about the walkers and stuff. And I would have loved to have seen some variant cohort walkers, but I didn't really get that feel in this episode either. Slizzle2290 Q&A. Do you think he's a believable character 10 years into the Walking Dead universe? So do you mean Dr. Charles Everett, Slizzle20? Slizzle2290. Do you mean Dr. Charles Everett? So, what's up, Tommy Griffin Jr.? I kind of like it because it's a scientific approach. I don't know where this was supposed to take place, because Dr. Everett is watching the walkers with the drone, which is cool, but how are you piloting a drone? How do you have power? How do you have this there? It's not really explained, even though he kind of has like solar panels on the back of his pack and stuff, and so he kind of could have power that way, even though he's constantly walking in the shade and the trees and stuff. And it doesn't really say where it was. He's kind of in this sanctuary was designed. There's like a crater around it, or a ditch, or something. It's like a big canyon that is there, so it stops people from getting in, and I guess getting out. But he's there by himself. Turns out that he had another scientist that he worked with that ended up dying from cancer. The scientist guy did not want Dr. Charles Everett to put him down, so he turned into Specimen 21. Kind of like Dr. Jenner's wife was the first walker or whatever, and then he put her down on there too in the Walking Dead that we kind of saw, which is kind of a cool thing. And it starts with Dr. Everett following, or you see like all these shots of like horses and this animal and that animal and this animal. It's like Animal Planet, right? So Slizzle2290 says, with the amount of plot holes in Tales of the Walking Dead, can you see a season 2 as a realistic option? Because this is the type of show that would probably get a second season. If Fear the Walking Dead has got 8 seasons, I think Tales of the Walking Dead should at least get a second season, and they should vastly improve what they're doing. Even if it was a continuation of the characters that we saw in the first season, I wouldn't mind that. But this is the type of show that was probably made for a smaller budget, and people are still watching it, so it's kind of doing something. And I think AMC Plus and AMC and The Walking Dead, they need content, so I think they would have a second season, but that's just my guess. So Dr. Everett is by himself, following the walkers again, that he calls them Homo Mortis, and so he sees walkers, and there's one walker that has like a tracker device around its neck, and that's Specimen 21. That was his former his former scientist friend. And there's a horse that's being eaten, and it has an A in its belly. So that's a nice little callback or connection to the A's. I'll have to, when I do my breakdown video, I'll have to show you guys that. But it's I like the idea of the drones and stuff. If you read my book series, you know that I'm a proponent and I love the idea of drones in a zombie apocalypse. And there's some things here that reminded me of my book series a little bit. Not to say that they took anything from it maybe if they did, I don't know. That's kind of cool if they did, or it's not exactly there. Maybe they got some ideas from it. Who knows? So, and I'm not accusing them. You never know how it goes too. That'd be pretty cool. But he finds these walkers, and he's all about the migration patterns and how they work together and how they come together. And there's this one, walker that is picking up sounds more than the other people. And then number 21 or Specimen 21 is this part of the horde, and they work together, they work alone, and they're part of the nature, and they're part and run its course, and blah, blah, blah. So it's a very scientific, earthy, nature takes its course and is taken back to the planet type of thing. Even though it's walkers, like, it's unnatural, right? Like, it's like they're not apex predators. They'd be on there too. They're like more like a fungus. Like, they need to be eradicated. But he brings up a good point later on in the episode that I thought was interesting, that people are the problem. Nature tries to correct it, take its course, and then people ruin it and correct it again, or cause more problems, and then nature corrects it. It's kind of a never-ending cycle. And now that people are being less and less involved in the planet, nature and animals can run its course and do that thing. So he comes across this pile of walkers that have no heads, and he calls them some group of people that are collecting the heads as trophies, and it puts them up to deter people as propaganda or something. I don't know, whatever. But the scientist guy is all about the science and the walkers and protecting the walkers. So this Asian lady, I think her name is Poppy Liu or Poppy Liao or something. Her name is Amy in the episode, and she's lost her way from her group, and she's coming across walkers, and she's trying to fight, and she falls down, very dramatic. They love to have people falling down in the Walking Dead universe. And this episode, both characters fall down at different points, and she rolls down this hill, very dramatic. And she's got the Merle type of hand, and she had to get her hand chopped off because you get to see it at some point. So she didn't have a left hand, but she has the Merle type hand. And she's fighting off the walkers, and she's about to stab a walker. And she hits the tracking device on, Specimen 21. And so the episode is basically Amy and Dr. Everett, and then a bunch of walkers. And then we see Amy's group, which is there too. Yeah, I'm like headhunters. Yeah, I think they were called headhunters. So Dr. Everett sees Amy fighting with the walker on the drone. She saves the walker, and not really like Amy. he was there protecting Specimen 21, which is interesting because you're not going to protect the woman, the human. You're going to protect your test subject, your walker, or choppers, like Amy calls them. So as they're going through, Amy's not feeling well. Dr. Everett's like, yeah, get away from me, do your own thing. Dr. Everett gets back to his shack, house, hut thing that's built it up, and he's got stuff around it to protect him, and he's got this little rope ladder type thing, there's like a tree house ladder you get in, and Amy comes across it, and she's banging on the thing, let me in, blah blah blah, and all these walkers follow her. She stabs the knife into the metal and uses it as a step, which is a really good idea. Then she grabs the rope ladder thing, rips it down. She's got one arm, so she's trying to like pull it up and go and pull it up and go, and gets to the top, and she gets saved. Dr. Everett brings her inside. They talk. She was eating these berries, I think it was nightshade, that are poisonous. So she's been poisoning herself by eating these berries, which I think I would never want to eat berries in the woods. Like, you don't know which is safe, what are not. Like there's no way I would trust anything. I wouldn't know what I'm doing. But I guess if you're hungry enough, you're going to eat whatever too. So she goes in there. He mixes up some black tea, gross looking thing, gives her a puke bucket, and she gets better. Which is, we got to have a dynamic between the two. And then we learn about, Dr. Everett, and then he was there, checking out the different walkers, and he's a scientist, and he's doing this, that talks about nature and all that stuff too, and you get to see his mindset. Like I said, it's very Milton, Dr. Jenner type of thing, but he's about the migration patterns and how they go and how they do this. And, he's alone and he's by himself, so he's kind of stuck in his ways, and he's there too. And then, Amy is the stereotypical, the new person who is trying to find out who this person is and to answer questions. So you get the story about who Dr. Everett is by the dialogue of their like, oh, that's an oversimplification, and you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And, it doesn't matter, it doesn't make any difference. From a scientific mindset, that's all he's worried about. He's not worried about what's right and wrong in this. He's worried about protecting his specimens and the walkers, and that's it. So it was kind of a cool, different way of looking at it. And so Amy looks at pictures that Dr. Everett, I guess, made or developed, and because he has a camera, and it's specimen, a lot of specimen 21. So she's like, who is specimen 21? Did you know this person? Did you do this? The annoying new person that they ask all these questions for the person who's set in their ways type of thing. We've seen it time and time again too. So it's a type of a thing that they're kind of bound together in a story that was forced together because there's no reason to know each other or like each other. So Dr. Everett has to go back out and fix the tracking device of specimen 21 because he's not with the horde. He was by himself, and he wants to protect them and all that stuff. So Amy goes right, Dr. Everett goes left, and Amy finds, specimen 21, of course, right? And Dr. Everett finds this walker, or I guess the walker that he's been watching for like 7 years, he said. So it's very Bicycle Girl. She's in the woods. She's decaying. She's falling apart. She's half a body. Or I think I don't even know, he or she, whatever, the walker. The arm falls off. He goes back there and takes the arm and uses it as a specimen for experiments. So I don't know, whatever. So it would be kind of cool if he was working on a cure or how to decay the walkers faster or whatever. But he's just looking at it as like Jane Goodall watching the chimps in the forest or the jungle, right? Like that's what you're basically looking at. Oh, it's kind of like what was the guy's name from Australia? He was like, oh crikey, look at the walkers over there. They're migrating to the south. I can't believe it. Whatever, like that kind of guy. Right? So that's basically kind of what the episode is until Amy comes back and sees how Dr. Everett is just wanting company and wants to be a Steve Irwin. I couldn't remember his name, Steve Irwin, right? That's kind of what he feels like. Oh, that's what he's all about. But it's walkers instead of there. Then the other thing, you see these video footage of all these animals that are there. And I don't know where this is supposed to take place, but they got giraffes and flamingos and zebras and alligators and horses and koalas and bears and this. And they have like every animal under the sun. And Amy sees this bird that was like terrible CGI. I mean, it's better than that deer, but it still wasn't good. And there was like this purple bird that is on screen for like 5 seconds because they show Amy, and you could tell they didn't want to go back to the bird. So it was kind of a thing. And you're like, man. But yeah, I was thinking it had to be Africa too, Mike, because I don't know where they had flamingos and it just was like a zoo. It was like had all these different things and had all these predators and all this stuff too. But then they had bears. It was just so much stuff that was going on there too. It's like, where is this place? Is it a a Noah, two of all kind of animals type of place, or the Garden of Eden type of thing. I'm like, what is going on here too? So, but it's just one of those interesting episodes that makes you think about it. And I just wish there was more to it. Like, again, it's only like 42 minutes. So if we had a couple more episodes to go on with the characters, or see this, or talk about the headhunters, or talk about where this location was and what Dr. Everett was up to beforehand, and it just would have been cool to see. So Amy and Dr. Everett come across the specimen 21, and they're going across there. Also, before that, Dr. Everett is able to get close to the walkers because he's got a jacket that's made out of the walker's skin. So it's like the Whispers, but it's not a mask. It's like a cloak. He's got the invisibility cloak, and it was pretty cool. Hey Tim. So it was a cool concept. Like, I kind of like that too. Like, maybe if you did that, it would be gross and whatever. But if you're wearing a jacket of the dead body skin, it's just like, ugh. But it was kind of cool because the walkers didn't really pay attention to him a lot. They did, but then they didn't, and they didn't. So, they find specimen 21, and then they hear screams, and it's Amy's people. And Amy, they come across these barbed wire fence that they had to cut, and the headhunters, they made a deal with them, but then it wasn't clear, are they the headhunters? Is it different? Is it a different group or not? And then there was trucks and stuff, I don't know, but it was just one of those things where it wasn't really just explained, because it couldn't be, because they ran out of time. Even though if they spent 5 more minutes, they could have explained so much more. Which I get it. It's got to be expedited, but it was kind of like, all right. So Amy's people, Hannah or something, is fighting off the walkers, and all Dr. Everett cares about is getting to specimen 21. That's all he cared about. And Amy's like, what are you doing? Like, why do you care just about this specimen? You don't care about people at all? And he just cares about that. He's like, oh, they got to run its course. So Dr. Everett holds Amy back, and Amy's trying to protect her friends. And then he bites her. She bites his finger or something, and it goes and it protects Hannah, and I guess. And then, of course, Dr. Everett runs, trips, rolls down the thing, cracks his head open. He's bleeding on the forehead. And because specimen 21 falls down the hill, falls on this raft, and he's like, And as he's floating away, his arms are he's floating away very slowly. Dr. Everett has a rope, and he's throwing it at him, kind of gets it wrapped around the hand, pulls him back, and as he's pulling him back, an alligator chomps on specimen 21 and brings him down. And all I could think about was, you better get away from this water, Dr. Everett and Amy, because this gator is going to come get you next, or crocodile, whatever it is. It's going to come get you. But it doesn't, because they had it kind of looked like a practical gator chomp. It kind of looked like a thing was and then pulls the specimen 21 underneath the water, and that's the end of that. And Dr. Everett says, your group is already doomed. You see the vultures or whatever up there are spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. And so he's like, your group is, whatever. You're on your own. You can't do this. Nature's taking its course. And again, Dr. Everett doesn't care about people. He cares about the science and nature of it. So Amy goes back to her group, and there's a truck and a this and a that. And instead of going away, they end up dying. All of Amy's group, including Amy, are walkers when Dr. Everett goes through there. Because Dr. Everett goes back home, he's got a bump on his head, he gets his stuff together, and he goes back out, goes across there, and finds Amy's camp or group. And it's not even like a camp. It was like a truck, and then a car, and then a tent kind of thing. And that's all it was. And then when Dr. Everett goes through and finds the truck, goes into the back of the truck, or the delivery truck thing, he opens up the case, and there's all these heads in it. So was Amy part of the headhunters? Was she lying the entire time? I don't know what to make of it, because Amy's there, or were the headhunters working with them, or whatever. So then as Dr. Everett tags the walker driver of the truck, who's a walker now, he tags it on the ear, lets him out, cuts the seatbelt. He gets away and pushes it down with this metal pole, and then walks away. And then he sees Amy, And that's how the episode ends. Amy's a walker now. So we actually lost one of the people. So out of 4 episodes, we only lost one character so far because Joe and Evie survived. Blair and Gina, I guess, survived. Dee and Lydia both survived. And Dr. Everett and Amy, but Dr. Everett survived. So that's how it goes for that. Sorry, I saw a couple questions about the Alpha episode. I don't know where that was. But yeah, I know. I personally like the Alpha episode overall. It was much to be desired again because it's so short and abbreviated. Like, what are we expecting from a 42-minute episode? It's just quick, you know? So Dr. Everett still alive, which is good. I liked him. Terry Crews, Joe still alive, liked him. Alpha still alive, so we could we see the story of Alpha with Hera, leave with Lydia, go find Beta, come back, take out Hera, and become the Alpha of the Whisperers. And that's what a lot of people are thinking, right? So it makes sense that would be there. It's just not explained in the episode. So is it a plot hole? Is it not? Is it this? I have a whole video about that. And let me know if you haven't seen the episode yet. What do you think? Because the way from our explanation is that Alpha and Lydia were in Maryland, or I guess around Baltimore or whatever, and they were in this warehouse thing. Alpha, or D, kills Lydia's dad, buzzes her head, gets a Whisperer skin mask, and then she becomes leader of the Whisperers. We were thinking that Alpha was the person who started the Whisperers, but it's not. It's this lady Hera, which, okay, I got it. Good, cool. And then the whole other thing is that Alpha and Lydia went and met Beta when Alpha didn't have a Whisperer skin mask. She had the shaved head, but it was a different time. And then when we see at the end, she's in like a meat locker with Hera's hair, and we don't see the front of it, but it's basically the face of Hera being the Whisperer skin mask. The first one of it. So, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. It's not really explained, and I don't know what to do with it. Because I don't write this for the show, and I don't see how it goes. I just go by what they portray and show us there, too. So, Dawn says, Episode 4, Dr. Everett, is my favorite episode so far. It's a good one for sure. I think it's definitely between the Alpha and the Dr. Everett episode. I think they're the 2 best episodes. So I think the Blair and Gina one's going to be the worst, in my opinion. And then the Alpha, Dr. Everett, and Joe, maybe you flip those. The Dr. Everett is first, whatever, right there, too. And then next week's is the one where he has amnesia and can't remember, and he's kind of around the group of settlers. It kind of looks like it's, I don't even know what era of there it is, but it looks like it's kind of like the Salem witch trials kind of thing. Like, I don't know where it's supposed to take place. Is that 35 years in the future? I don't know, because it just could be in some weird location. And then, you know, Jesse T. Usher plays A-Train on the Boys, and he's going to be here. And I don't know what's the story behind. Did he actually kill this person? Did he not? He can't remember what actually happened. I don't know. Yeah, which one is going to be the 35-year future episode, Brian? I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I don't think we've seen it yet, unless the Dr. Everett episode was. It would have been easy to say. All they had to do, again, like this show is not giving enough opportunity to explain things, and all they need is a little bit more dialogue, and it would go a long way. Like if Dr. Everett says, "I've been living on my own for the past 10 years, but I've been watching and documenting and experimenting or whatever on these sample experiment participants, whatever, test subjects for the past 35 years or the past 25 years or whatever," you would know that it's there. And it's a simple line of dialogue. And maybe I missed it. Maybe it wasn't there. But it does fit that one is there as well. It's just not explained. Yeah, so, I mean, that it would make sense that it's this one. The Dr. Everett episode 4. So, Jonathan Wilder, that's my guy. Q&A, what if Carl joined Negan? Well, what do you mean? Like, what would you want him to do? Would you want him to be Carl is Negan, his team Negan, and then he has to take out Rick or whatever? Like, I don't know. It would be dumb. I mean, you could do a whole what if thing. Just do some animations of it. And I thought that Tales of the Walking Dead was going to be, characters from the past, characters from the future, characters we never saw before, animation, this and that. Like I thought it was going to be a lot of different things. And I guess it was supposed to be, but things change, money, time, budget, there too. It would have been really cool if we saw Tyrese at all, but in 4 episodes we haven't. I don't know if we're going to see anybody like that. It would just be better if it connected with people that we saw, even if it's from a minor role. What if Aaron was out meeting people and he got to meet people that way? And he just pops in for a cameo kind of thing. I don't know. What if we did something? It's just so many things. Like, at the end of the day, I think Tales of the Walking Dead is going to be yet another missed opportunity that could have helped the Walking Dead universe, right? Or overall, it's interesting. We're watching it. It's something to watch. It's part of the Walking Dead universe. But I'm watching with my wife, and my wife is a lot of times for majority of the episodes, she's like, well, that episode sucked. That wasn't good. I'm like, yeah, I mean, overall, it's just, and, we support The Walking Dead. We love The Walking Dead. But overall, if you've seen the 4 episodes, are you liking them, loving them, tolerating them? Is it worth it? Or is it fails of The Walking Dead instead of tales? Fails of The Walking Dead. So the big question is, are we going to get a second season? How does stuff connect? Is it something that doesn't make sense overall? I mean, is it just something to watch? Is it a money grab? Either or, we're watching it. I think, like I said before when we were talking about season 2 of Tales of the Walking Dead, I think the streaming services, whatever it is, you have to have content. You have to have your own things. You have to have stuff for your network and your branching out, like Paramount Plus and AMC Plus and all this stuff, Hulu and all this stuff. You got to have stuff like there, whether it's movies or shows, because you'll get people to have the service, like Netflix and stuff too. Because more and more people are having streaming services, and you got to have stuff. Like, I couldn't imagine not watching Cobra Kai in a couple weeks when it comes back on September 9th. And like I said, definitely check out Nope if you haven't seen that movie. And we'll have to see where stuff goes, for the future of things. There's another show that it's on Freevee, which I believe is Amazon. Amazon owns Freevee, which used to be called IMDb TV. It's called Sprung, Sprong, and it has John Dory in it. You got Garrett Dillahunt. And if you ever saw Raising Hope, you should know that Garrett Dillahunt is the dad in the show, and Martha Plimpleton is the mom in that show. She's the mom in this show, Sprung, and Garrett Dillahunt, he's in jail, and he gets sprung out of jail because of COVID-19. And it says it's based on true events or something. Like, I don't know how much is based on it for what it is. But it's interesting because if you've ever seen Raising Hope, Martha Plimpleton, if you don't know who she is, she's actually the daughter of John Dory Sr. in Fear the Walking Dead. So it just connects on thing. And Raising Hope is a good, funny show. If you've never seen it, I recommend it. But definitely check out Sprung. It's pretty funny. They're like half-hour episodes or like 37, 38-minute episodes. But it's hilarious. The humor is I laughed every episode so far. It's pretty funny. Q. Is it me or the writers? Negan and Maggie have this unusual on-screen chemistry. Thoughts on the direction of their relationship? So, what do you mean? Are you thinking that Maggie and Negan are going to get together? Because I don't want to see that. I don't think it would ever make sense for Maggie to get with Negan, to kiss Negan, to do whatever with Negan. Like, it just wouldn't make sense ever. Because that would just be weird and creepy that the woman is going to get with the guy who killed her husband. And she loved Glenn. It wasn't like, oh, yeah, whatever. And so it just wouldn't make sense. The chemistry, I think, works because of the dynamic that they're good actors. They do a good job. S says, we don't want to see it, but there's something there. I just think it's got that. I think Negan's married to, his wife, Annie. So we have to see what happens there. Does Annie get killed? We still don't even know why Negan and Maggie are together in New York, New Jersey, the Northeast. Like, what are they doing? Are they going after Herschel? Are they going after Annie and Herschel? Because if it was Annie, would Maggie go help Negan, or would Negan go by himself? If it was just Herschel, would Maggie just go by herself, or would Negan feel bad obligated to go after her and help her? Right? I don't know. Like, it's just something that needs to make sense, but I don't know if it will, because, when we're wrapping things up, like the show is wrapping up and we're getting spinoffs and we're getting all this stuff, is it going to be something that makes sense? Do they even care to have it make sense? I have faith in the spinoffs with characters that we know, established characters. Like Fear the Walking Dead started fresh. Brand new story, brand new characters. It was a blank slate, a blank page. Do whatever you want. And I don't really think they did that great. World Beyond, same thing. I don't think they did that great. It was interesting at times. It drew me in more because of the CRM connection. Tales of the Walking Dead, you could do whatever you want. Start fresh. Start connecting the dots. Don't, whatever. Right now, it's much to be desired. But Negan and Maggie, established characters. Rick and Michonne, established characters. Daryl, established character. They're just going to have more of a following, and it's going to make more sense. Unless they do weird stuff with characters that are out of the ordinary, doesn't make sense at all. So I also would have loved to see variant cohort walkers in the Dr. Everett research episode, but we didn't see that. Missed opportunity. Again, I think Tales of the Walking Dead, at the end of the day, is going to be the missed opportunity show. I don't know if the writing was lackluster, the effort, the energy, the budget, all the above, whatever it was. I think it's just going to be like, it was a solid C- when it could have been an A or a B. We'll have to see how it actually plays out. But the episodes don't carry over, so that format's definitely different from what we're used to too. So. Slizzle2290 Q&A. When the main show ends, do you think Carol will babysit the children left behind, Judith, Lydia, Herschel, etc.? I think so, because I don't know if she's not with Daryl, where's Carol? She's got to be back home protecting Alexandria and stuff there too. And also, the Commonwealth has got to go down. I think Lance is going to die. I think the Miltons are going to be overthrown. Somebody else is going to be running the Commonwealth. But what's the threat that's still out there? Is it walkers? Is it CRM? Like, if we don't get a major CRM connection, what are we doing? What are these spinoffs about? Just carrying on with dumb stories? Like, CRM needs to show up in the final episodes of The Walking Dead, needs to connect all the spinoffs, it needs to be the glue or the flex tape CRM that connects all the stuff. Like, it just makes sense, right? Go get the big tub of CRM glue and start gluing all the stuff together so it all connects. Like, it's not that hard. And I think Gimple and Kirkman and all this, Nicotero and Gail Ann Hurd and whoever else can do it. Mike Singer, great question. How was CRM first created? That should have been an episode on Tales of the Walking Dead. That should have been its own little webisode, miniseries, 6-episode, 2-episode, 3-episode thing. I don't know. We need to see that, and that's what we need to have as this. Like, we should have the spinoff CRM, Walking Dead CRM, or Walking Dead Civic Republic. We need that show. We need those stuff. We need to see that stuff. Or is it going to be like Kirkman's like, I'm never going to explain how the zombie apocalypse started. I'm never going to explain this. Is that what's going to happen? Or Kirkman and Gimple and all the people, you're just not going to explain stuff? Like, just say something on there too, right? Like, it's a slap to the face to the fans that stuff is not explained at all. And people are making money and they're doing this, but at the end of the day, if they don't do things, it's like, Man, it's ridiculous. Either way, House of the Dragon, episode 2 tonight. Loved the first episode. Very good start to House of the Dragon. I'm excited. They've already renewed it for season 2, which they probably should because it's got I think it's, the big old book, A Song of Fire and Ice, or Ice and Fire, whatever it is, Song of Ice and Fire. I haven't read the books, but there's a lot of content there with the Targaryens. I don't want to get into too much of the House of the Dragon. It's a different stream and a different topic. But House of the Dragon, I'm excited for it. Hopefully you guys check it out on HBO Max if you're a Game of Thrones fan. If not, definitely check it out. It's worth watching, especially dragons and stuff there too, which is pretty awesome too. I wonder if anybody's watched or will watch House of the Dragon but didn't watch Game of Thrones. Would it be kind of, or just like if you watch Cobra Kai and didn't watch Karate Kid? Do you still like it, or not really understanding some of the stuff too? Rob K, I have not watched The Sandman, but I have watched She-Hulk, and I thought the episodes were decent. It's getting like bad reviews, but I think it's better than, the one with Oscar Isaac, Moon Knight, WandaVision. She-Hulk's better than that, especially with the Hulk in it. Bruce Banner and Mark Ruffalo is pretty good. Sizzle2290, do you think Scott Gimple gets too cute and abandons the loyal fans, giving no answers who've been here 12 years? Could be. Because at the end of the day, they're ending it one way, or another. It doesn't matter. They don't care. It's done. It's like that last day of school or that last day of work. I don't care. Done. See ya. Throw the papers in the air and run out to school, or get in your car and drive away from work and be out. But then if you want to get a job or another job or have a reference or something like that too, you don't want to burn any bridges. It's just like, don't want to go back to Game of Thrones too much, but Dave and Dan or D&D or whatever who they were who did Game of Thrones, you ended a great series pretty poorly. Now, they were supposed to have a Star Wars series or movies or something. And I'm like, come on now. It was terrible. And then Disney, and they pulled the stuff from them. They're not getting their own show or series or trilogy or whatever. And you're like, yeah, they should. But then the Game of Thrones guy from the Game of Thrones series is doing the House of the Dragon. And he's done some of the best episodes. And I'm really excited for that too. Lynette Rose, do any of the show producers or writers participate in this weekly discussion on the Play the Channel? I don't think so. I mean, that would be pretty cool if they did, but I think they stay away from all this stuff too, especially because fans are going to, I think fans, or I don't even know if you're a fan. If you hate the writers and hate the stuff and hate the show or dislike the show are you still a fan? Because if you dislike something, or dislike a lot of the things, that doesn't make you a fan anymore. I don't know, does it? It's a weird thing. But yeah, no, I haven't really. I don't know. Some people could be called, a different name on here. It's not like G Nicotero. Hey, G Nicotero. Rob K says, I would block Gimple if he were in the chat. Just kidding. I would love to talk to Gimple. I would support Gimple for what he's done in seasons 4, 5, and 6 alone. What he did in 7 and 8, not so much. But 4, 5, and 6, he's done a lot. And he's tried a lot of different things. You got to give credit where credit is due. Without him, you wouldn't have Fear the Walking Dead or World Beyond or Tales of the Walking Dead or a lot of the success that it had. And it wouldn't be as what it was in seasons 4, 5, and 6 after their, the crazy stuff that they did in season 3. But then people remember, what have you done for me lately? They're not going to give him any credit for what they've done and over the years of how many years they got out of The Walking Dead or whatever. And he was only a showrunner. He wasn't like the main producer guy. Stuff. A showrunner is a very powerful position on there too. But, it's not like it was Kirkman or something on there. But it's a very powerful position, and stuff might not have gone well if it wasn't a good person there. I think Angela Kang has done a great job for the season, for the couple seasons that she's been a showrunner. And I hope she becomes a showrunner again because she was supposed to be the showrunner for the Daryl and Carol show. But then when Carol dropped out, it's just the Daryl show, and she dropped out. And from everything I've seen, I think Norman Reedus is in France, in Europe for sure. So I don't know when they're going to start filming there, but hopefully very soon. I hope Andrew Lincoln is in Georgia or in the States, and him and Denai Guerrero start filming. I don't know what episode Dead City is filming now, but it's probably got to be at least halfway, right? Because they've been filming now for a little bit. And I think they wrapped up the pilot a couple weeks ago, if not like a month ago. So if it takes 2 weeks per episode, and it's 6 episodes, that's 12 weeks. That's 3 months. So I would assume they're around halfway, done to that too. So, but overall, guys, also want to give a last little shout out to my book series, Fight for Us. Fight for Us, book 17 is going to be titled The Island. I've finished writing it all, my first take on it. Then I edited the first chapter, and I'm going to go back and finish the other 17 chapters because it's 18 chapters. This book 17, is The Island. And I'm excited for it because it's a good payoff book. If you've read In 100 Days, hopefully you've read those 3 because it's going to make some connections with that. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a big payoff book. Like I said, you build it up, plant the seed, set it up, and then the payoff's got to be there. And I think it's going to be very rewarding to read that book, especially if you've read the previous books. And I'm very excited for it. I got to clean it up, get it organized, and get it together, and it'll be out later this year. Tim Simmons, last question, Q&A, I think. But do you, this will be the last season of Fear. I was watching it from the beginning, only to fill in during breaks of the main show. I don't know. I think they want to carry that show on as long as they can. Season 8, for me, if it's not the best season or one of the best seasons, if season 8 is not, because it's going to be tough to probably beat season 6 for that, in my opinion, and season 3. If season 8 is not the third best season of that show, like up there leaps and bounds, I don't know, man. It's just weak. It needs to do some major connections, major writing, major stuff, major budget, whatever it's going to be there too. It needs to be awesome too as well. So, all right, guys, that's my hour. Actually, an hour and 2 minutes, but I'll be back next Sunday. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And remember, guys, with hard work, dedication, belief, and sacrifice, you can truly achieve your goals. Believe in yourself. You can do it. It's about love, support, staying positive, making memories. Keep working hard. I'll be back next Sunday. Enjoy the episodes tonight. Little League World Series, the final game. Honolulu, Hawaii versus Curacao. I think Honolulu is going to be amazing because they're a pretty awesome Little League World Series team. And that's starting at 3 o'clock. So in an hour, I'll be back next Sunday, guys.